Welcome, Micaela. It's so great to have you. And let me introduce you. Let me introduce you quickly. So, basically, you're an intelligent, emotional intelligence business strategist, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I think you're a real expert when it comes to helping entrepreneurs and leaders tap into their emotional intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you also founded something which is called Love You Revolution, which we want to hear something about, of course, in just a minute. And basically, you're really empowering individuals overcoming obstacles. So this is why it's great to have you in our summit here, where we actually are going to reflect a bit on the magic of opportunities and how to find them anywhere. So maybe you can start by telling us a bit how you create value in this world.
How I create what, sorry?
Value in the world.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I know we have a very short amount of time. So I think the unique way that I support people and help them really achieve and create a life of their own choosing is to help them understand their emotionality and how it's directly connected to the revenue that they generate and the success that they create in their business. So it's really about marrying the business strategy with the internal work that has to happen for the owner of the business to lead the business where they want to go. So it's really about doing the inner work, reprogramming the subconscious mind, identifying trapped emotions, seeing what is in people's ways, and then creating implementable strategies in their business that's going to create real results.
Great. So basically, you're working from the principle, as we are inside, will show up outside, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's
we
kind of
right from the inside, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, what are your personal experience in the context of finding opportunities and finding those hidden gems?
Well, the first thing that I'm going to say about opportunities is that you've got to be open.
Yeah.
So my first experience is that I noticed when I was open and I was in yes energy, things flowed, things happened, things would come into my space. The moment that I was in resistance, that I was close to something, then things became harder. They became more efforting. It became more, kind of like having a blindfold, couldn't see well. Right.
So how do you make that happen? How do you become open? Is there a trick?
Well, it's really, part of it is personal choice. It's a choice.
Absolutely. Right.
And then the other part of it is doing the inner work, because you might say, well, what if I don't know that I'm not open? Absolutely. If you think that you're open, but you're really not open, then what, right? So the key is to do the interpersonal work that helps you evolve and grow and learn, so that you can actually see yourself and then adjust and shift, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
when
key.
You can shift to be open. Yeah,
and you mentioned resistance. I think that's a big part of it, right? Because what you resist persists, kind of. So that's okay. We're gonna dive.
That happens a lot when you're unconscious, right? So when you don't know that you don't know, then you're resisting. It's like, but I'm not resisting, and it's like, yeah, you're resisting, but I'm not, because you don't see it. But then eventually, through awareness, you can get there.
So you mentioned the inner work a lot, Micaela. So inner work, when you say inner work, is there an exercise which you recommend as a first opener to your clients?
Yeah, the first question that you want to ask yourself when you start introspecting, because the main thing of introspecting is talking to yourself. So you get to really talk to yourself, right? So the first question is, what's underneath this? What am I not seeing that I'm supposed to see?
Right.
What's the lesson? Why is this in my life? What am I to learn? right? So it's all these kind of introspective questions. And then eventually you'll have a thought, you'll have a download, you'll have an image, something will come up and you'll start getting answers.
Right. And you just have to follow those nuggets, right?
You have to follow the breadcrumbs.
As we say, the breadcrumbs, as we say, yeah. So what role does creativity and resourcefulness play? Or, I mean, it's not the same, but they're very linked. So what role does it play in finding opportunities, you know?
Well, I mean, I think in order to really take advantage of as many opportunities as you can, you have to be resourceful. You have to learn how to pivot and change and move and shift and maybe say no here, but say yes over there. And maybe you would have said yes over here and no over there, but you got to reverse it, right? So it's really digging deep and accessing that part of you that is courageous to be and do things differently and then make different choices. And then creativity, you know, when you introspect, you open up the gates to creativity, because that's where you start to kind of access your higher self, and you start to receive downloads and really open yourself up to new ways and other ways, new ideas. So creativity is then kind of birthed from there, right?
Right.
As you get new ideas, new thoughts, you will start then.
Yeah, you mentioned downloads a few times. Is that something you could reach in a meditative state?
Absolutely. You don't have to be in a meditative state. You could have downloads in the waking state. Absolutely.
How would you do that though? Because a lot of us have a lot of things going on in their head, so they're very much mind focused, so left, as I call it, left brain focus. So how do you do that?
Yeah, you know, it's practice, because if we're not careful, we can misinterpret things. We can misinterpret a thought that we're making up based on our conditioning for maybe a download. So it's really practice, and it's practice really connecting with your intuition, practice introspecting, and as you practice, then it's like going to the gym, right? You're exercising that intuitive muscle, because downloads are connected to intuition.
Sure.
So as you come to grow and understand your own intuition and recognize it, then you can recognize downloads and how they differ from thoughts. And it's, you know, once you get there, I know when it's something that's created by my mind, and I know when it's a download. I can now distinguish them, but I didn't used to. Right? Yeah. It's hard if you don't know, if you don't practice. So it's really using awareness, observing your thoughts, shifting, and then noticing your intuition, noticing when like, oh, I thought about that, and look at
it showed up.
Yeah.
Right.
Or I just thought about Peggy. You just called me. I was just thinking about you. Like you start noticing those intuitive things, and then you start knowing yourself at that deeper spiritual level, which is really beautiful.
Well, that's beautiful. Yes. I always have this question, you know, how do I differentiate emotion and intuition? There is some confusion around that, I think, you know, because sometimes people have very strong emotions, which basically is a mirror of resistance oftentimes. So that's not to be mixed up with intuition.
No, absolutely not. And really, intuition is not emotion. There is really no emotion in intuition.
I agree.
And if you want to distinguish the two, emotion is a surge of energy that comes into the body, and it's meant to come through the body and go out the body.
Right.
So anytime you have an emotion, you have a physical reaction of some sort. So a lot of times you'll feel energy, you'll feel things around your heart space, you'll feel maybe anxious things in your gut. Those are the effects of emotions. Intuition, you're not really feeling anything.
Feeling it.
You're getting an intuitive thought.
Yes.
You're getting an idea, you're getting a premonition, you're getting a guidance, right? I'm just gonna give you a really simple example. I mean, this is really silly, but I knew.
That's good.
Like intuitively, I knew, right? So yesterday I was biking, and I had this big lock and I put it in the basket. And as I was biking, my bike kind of went
of course.
In a hole, and it went blah, 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 like that. And I had something in my basket, and I had the lock. And then I heard something fall, but when I looked into my basket, I was like, what fell? Like I couldn't notice what it was. It was my lock, but I didn't notice it at the time. So I go to where I am supposed to go, and I get there, and I'm like, oh shit, it was my lock. Because I didn't find the lock that I need to use in the moment. So I'm like, okay. So in that moment, I had, you know, the like annoyance emotion, the emotion of annoyance. And then right after that, though, there was this calming sense, like, it's okay, fine. I'll find it. I'm gonna find it. Like, it's gonna be where I think I know where I remembered where that bump was. Like, I'll just go back and look, and it's gonna be there. I just had this intuitive thought.
Yes.
Right.
Cool.
And interestingly enough, I even had a vision of a lock hanging on a thing. And so what happened was, I biked back, and the first go around, I didn't see anything. Then I went back, and I saw a lock just like mine hanging on a post, but it wasn't my lock. So then in that moment, though, when I saw the lock, I'm like, just go. Something told me to go a little bit more forward. So I kept going backwards, and there was my lock. Somebody had moved it from the street to
the side,
next to the door on the side, and there was my lock.
Amazing. Such a good example. Such a good example. Yeah, totally. I can totally relate to that. And that's a great example of the differentiation also between an emotion, which just came up, you know, and went through your body and hopefully went out again, right? That's the other thing. Sometimes those things get stuck. And an intuition. Thank you so much, Micaela. So you were talking before about adaptability, right? So how are you able to adapt? And what role does that play in seizing opportunities?
Well, it's really important to be able to shift and be malleable and be like a ninja. In fact, people call me the emotional ninja, and I call people that come into my space as emotional ninjas, because you really learn how to, like a ninja, to be really nimble and fast and move from one place to another, and so shift, right? And kind of like a chameleon, transform yourself. So you got to be adaptable. You got to be able to adapt to the circumstances, adapt to the challenges, adapt to whatever comes into your space. If you don't do that, you won't be able to see opportunities.
Yeah.
You'll be clouded by whatever it is that's having you not be open, not be malleable.
Right. So,
flexible.
I mean, that's deeply connected to overcoming challenges, right? So if a person has a huge challenge, so how does that, you know, what is the first suggestion that you give them? Because sometimes, you know, we feel ourselves in a rut. So what do we do? Like, what's the first thing you could recommend to fast track, you know, making you malleable?
Well, I think the first thing that one needs to do is ask themselves, am I willing to shift? Am I willing to be flexible? Am I willing to be open? If the answer is no, then that tells you you're still in resistance.
Right.
If the answer is yes, then once you're willing, you can then ask yourself, can I now be open? Can I now shift? Right? So it's kind of like, sometimes it's just giving ourselves permission, or it's just recognizing that we're still resistant, and then doing that introspective to find out, what am I resisting?
Yeah.
And when you ask yourself, what am I resisting? You can then go to what's underneath this. What am I not seeing that I'm supposed to see? What's the lesson? And then you're able to kind of get yourself unstuck.
Right. Resistance is a big one though, right? Because sometimes we don't even know that we're resisting. You know, you talk to people and on the outside, you do see that the person's resisting, but they're saying, oh, you know, I'm trying everything. That's where this inner work, I think, comes to play again.
It does, absolutely. Like, the only way that you know that you're in resistance and that you don't know that you're in resistance, so you can become aware that you're in resistance, is to notice your outcomes, to notice the results you're creating. What are you creating? Are you creating what you want? Are you experiencing the life in the way that you want to experience? If the answer is no, you're in resistance of something.
Right.
So you're holding back, you're stuck, you're self-sabotage. Something is happening, because if not, you would be creating the results that you want.
Right. So you have to dig deep.
Yeah.
You have to dig deep. And this is where
dig deep, and sometimes you have to get support. You got to get someone outside of you that has been there, done that, that is knowledgeable, that has experience, that can help you and coach you to get out of there and to understand what is stopping you, what is in your way. Because a lot of times we won't be able to see it. We are the fish in the murky fishbowl. Right. And to us, the water isn't murky. It's just fine. But the moment that somebody comes and plucks you out and puts you in a freshwater, bowl, right? A freshwater bowl. It's like, wait a minute. Aha, this is fresh. This is clear. That was murky, right? And so then you can see yourself objectively.
That is a beautiful example. I love how you speak in pictures. That's awesome, Micaela. It's so...
I'm visual.
Pardon? Yeah, right.
I'm a visual person, so I know that it helps me understand things better. So
this is very cool. This is very cool. So, I mean, with the other speakers, I spoke a lot about mindset mastery, and you pointed out a lot of the things already, but I think it's crucial to kind of evaluate that again. So mindset mastery, how important is that? I think how important is a growth mindset, for example, in this journey?
If we are not growing, we are dying.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to have a growth mindset, because or else you're just going to stay stuck. And that's really what you want to look at. You know, when I first was faced years ago with, doing my next level growth, which involved hiring a coach, which was a lot. I had never spent that kind of money in a year ever. I was confronted with that question. It's like, if I don't do anything and I do the same thing, same old thing that I've been doing, because I'm still in the fishbowl. I can't see my way out. I'm going to be in the same place a year from now. But if I take the leap and I am courageous and I trust the universe, God, and myself, and take the leap and do this thing that's really scary and that maybe is really big for me, at least I'll give myself a chance.
Right.
And when you choose from courage and you choose from love, it will always work out. The universe will start churning its wheels to make sure that you get what it is that you want to get to, right? So it ended up working out just amazingly. But it's really understanding that if you don't grow, you just stay in the same position. And if you're okay with staying in the same position, then great.
So be it. Yes.
But then don't complain.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, right? You created this Love You Revolution. Is that connected to it?
The Love You Revolution actually is Love Your Evolution now. Love You Revolution was a clothing line that I started years ago when my daughter was 4 years old. And man, that's 16 years ago. Wow. I just made
amazing, right?
And it was about putting empowering messages on clothing for women around self-love. And that evolved into Love Your Evolution, which is what we're doing now, which is really supporting women and a few good men in understanding themselves deeper, getting themselves out of their own way, and then putting in place in their business or work ways they can achieve the success that they want, and they can really be financially free. That's basically what Love You Revolution into Love Your Evolution is.
Great. And I brought this up because that's great in the context of mindset, right? Because you said if you take a decision out of courage or love, the universe will put everything in place, help you and support you in that journey. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Courage is the delineating emotion. It's the catalyst emotion. I don't know if you know Dr. David Hawkins and his map of consciousness. So if you look at the map of consciousness, you'll see that there's a line right underneath courage. Everything below courage is contraction, suffering, getting by. It's a low vibration, low energy, it's heaviness. The moment you get into courage and you move up the scale, it's openness, it's opportunity, possibility, miracle-making territory. It is spiritual paradigm. And that's all because you have to go through courage to get there. Courage is the catalyst emotion.
It's a catalyst emotion, and I think that's a gate, a real gate to opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Right there. Because
Yeah.
when you take that leap into courage, which is frankly, which is challenging, right? That's not always easy, because often it involves that you have to do massive changes in life.
Mhm.
So people who have to do massive changes in life, there's a factor of psychology there too, right? And state of mind. So what do you recommend to people to keep up their positive state of mind, and let's say a constructive state of mind every day?
Well, they have to set themselves up for success. And so they have to put tools and habits in place that helps them do that. Because we're habitual beings, we're human beings, we're naturally flawed. And we have a part of us that's still linked to our animalistic side. And also we are linked to, and part of that animalistic side is also that laziness, not in a bad way, but just, you
comfort.
see, yeah, comfort,
Comfortable.
exactly.
Yeah.
Comfortable, exactly. So we have to set things in our life, to tools and experiences and things that we can use to make sure that we are in that more positive space.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So can you share some magic with us, Micaela? I mean, is there a magic trick you can share with the audience on how to fast track success?
Well, wow, can we say that in a few minutes? I think the first thing that people want to really understand is they have to connect with their deep desire. They have to have a burning desire. Mm-hmm. That burning desire, they have to be committed to themselves and to what it is that they want to create. Once you're committed, then you have to take action. And you have to keep taking inspired action no matter what. Even if there's challenges, even if you're tired, even if it's painful, you got to just keep staying committed. I think that's how you can fast track to success.
Yeah.
Your burning desire, staying committed to it, taking action no matter what, and then you'll get there.
And just keep going, right?
Just keep going, yeah.
Micaela, wonderful. One last question. So how do you personally recognize that magic is happening?
How do I know? Well, wow, I've created some really amazing miracles in my life, especially in the last 2 years. So I think for me, miracles is kind of like the same thing. Mm-hmm. So how do I recognize it? I recognize it because it shows up that it's part of what I'm creating. Right. So I see things happening along the path of my goal. So if I have a certain goal and I see even if there's small things that are happening towards it, then I know that that's magic. Because eventually the miracle will happen.
Great. And talking about emotions around that. So what's the emotion coming with that?
With magic?
Yes.
Wow, I think there's really more than one emotion. It's excitement, gratitude. Mm-hmm. You want to say in gratitude for every single step, even the small itty bitty ones. Mm. So excitement, gratitude, and really faith, having faith and trust.
Yeah,
a lot of emotions.
Micaela, thank you so much. That was wonderful, and
thank you for having me.
You shared so much wisdom with everybody, and I'm so grateful for you being you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Wishing you all the best.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.